you've been trying to learn Vietnamese for years now, but you still go to the local market and you can't communicate with local people there. Chances are you're probably falling into a few common mistakes that a lot of foreigners make. And after 3 years of living in Vietnam and getting up to the level of conversational Vietnamese, I feel that I have the experience to share with you a few of the mistakes that you can avoid in order to really learn Vietnamese and talk like a local person. Number 1, the first mistake that foreigners make who want to learn Vietnamese is where you live. Do you live in Tay Ho in Hanoi? Do you live in District 2 in Thao Dien in Saigon? Do you live in District 7? Are you living in the center of the city? Are you living in a hostel in Mune or in Da Nang? If so, then that's your reason. You are surrounding yourself with too many foreigners. All of your social events revolve around foreigners or around Vietnamese people that speak English, and you're not really getting the true taste of Vietnam. So this is a huge mistake that I see a lot of foreigners making, not only in Vietnam but all around the world. They claim that they want to immerse themselves in the culture, they want to go explore a new land, and maybe they do for a few weeks, but in general, they typically hang out on Bưu Viện or go eat at pizza places, things that are super westernized in these countries, because let's face it, it's not the most comfortable thing to start a new life in a new land, especially if you don't know anybody, and you start missing English and you start feeling really frustrated that you can't communicate your true feelings to people. Trust me, I've been there, but I promise you it gets easier, and I really recommend for foreigners to find a more local place to live, and the best thing to do ever is to live with a local person. So a lot of foreigners are used to living on their own, or they want their own space, and that's fine, but if you want to sacrifice your language levels, I know you're going to learn it a lot faster if you choose to live with a local person there. And you also end up splitting costs and learning more about the culture and lifestyle. Mistake number 2. This is a huge one. This is the mindset. So a lot of people, they think that Vietnamese is very hard, and let's be honest, it is. On the list of languages for English speakers, I think it's on the 4th level, along with Japanese and Arabic. Even Chinese is easier than Vietnamese, apparently. So, of course, it isn't like an English person, someone from England or someone from Australia or someone from the US learning Spanish or Swedish even. Vietnamese is a very different language. It's a tonal language. So yeah, it is going to take you a little bit more effort, but if you constantly think that it's hard, then you're creating a blockage in your mind and you're almost not able to absorb. So learning should be fun, it should be easy, and it should be enjoyable. So look at your mindset the next time you sit down to learn Vietnamese. Are you dreading the experience? Are you meeting up with your teacher and thinking, oh, I can't remember anything? Listen to how you are thinking and how you're speaking to yourself. Your self-talk is super important. Are you telling yourself that you're stupid? Are you telling yourself that it's impossible? If you tell yourself that a language is impossible, it's going to be impossible. So what I used to do when I was learning Vietnamese, I would wake up every morning. I'm a big fan of positive affirmations anyway, just to make my life happier and to kind of get out of these negative thoughts, because they are very easy to get into. But I would wake up when I was learning a language and say, I have a talent for learning languages. I am able to learn Vietnamese. Vietnamese comes easily to me. I attract opportunities into my life for me to speak Vietnamese. And when you say it in the morning, you are going to be in a better mood, and this is going to make learning much easier for you. So I've been to a lot of clubs, language clubs in Saigon, and I've met so many people there, and most of them complain. Some of them are really like, they're laughing about it a bit, like, oh, I've been here for 10 years, I still can only say hello, or I can still say how much is this. But really the people that know it are the ones that think, okay, they know about the plasticity of the brain, they know that they can do it, they know that it's just a matter of time. People can learn a language, you expect them to learn English, so you can definitely learn Vietnamese. Number 3, the third biggest mistake that foreigners make when learning Vietnamese is that they are not listening. So this goes into a lot of different things, and I feel that a lot of foreigners, they go to Vietnam and they want to share their own opinions so much. They want to tell other people things. They might in a way look down at local people. They might think that they're better, or they have more money, they have more education. This doesn't really mean anything over there. This is a new land and these are new rules. And so it doesn't really matter where you went to school, what you have to say. You need to listen to other people and you need to see how a Vietnamese person would say something. Because oftentimes what you want to say is not even usually something that they would think about, because the culture is so different. So I have one example. I was in a language club and a guy from India wanted to say, how do you ask people, okay, what do you want to eat? And this is like in a family setting. And you can ask that in Vietnamese, you can definitely translate that, but usually they would just say, okay, it's time to eat, we're all eating. If you knew more about the culture, you would know that the family has already prepared something and everybody is usually going to eat the same dish. And so for me, I do eat a little bit differently. I am following a plant-based diet, and so that can be a difference. But I think in general, you need to know more about the culture and know about what people talk about. Listen to other people's conversations before you speak, because we need to learn how to read before we write, and we need to know how to listen before we speak. And I see a lot of foreigners, especially the guys that are trying to get girls over there, they want to know what to say, they want to know how to flirt with them, they want to know how to get their point across, but really the key is in the listening. The next mistake that you might be making in learning Vietnamese is that you are being too shy and that you are scared to make mistakes. And I see this a lot. This goes to the pride and the ego, and a lot of men especially, they don't want to say things wrong. I didn't want to say things wrong either. Nobody wants to say things wrong. We want people to understand us, but honestly, if you've been in Vietnam long enough, you know people are super friendly and they're gonna help you. And if they don't, then move on to the next person. But try to get yourself out as much as possible and talk as much as possible, because if you're just in your room and you're repeating yourself all the time, maybe that's great for pronunciation, but at the end of the day, you need to be in contact with other people. The fifth biggest mistake foreigners make when learning Vietnamese is not focusing on the tones. This is huge. I have seen people, a lot of people, they can write it perfectly. I had a client who was in Vietnam for 20 years, has a wife, he speaks Vietnamese. I can understand him because I've been there, I've been through the process. His wife can understand him because she has been living with him, but nobody else can really understand him. And I feel, wow, that is such a waste of time that you learned so much Vietnamese. He can read it, he can write it, but not with the tones. And that is huge, because I think if you are an American and you've learned Spanish before, it's obviously important to know the grammar and the vocabulary, but in Vietnamese, the number one most important thing is the tones. So make sure that you perfect the tones first, and everything else is going to become so much easier for you. I made this mistake myself, and I wasted a lot of time because I was just by myself reading children's books thinking I need to get vocabulary in. And then when I went out a few months later and started talking, I thought, okay, I have a good vocabulary, let's use it. And nobody understood me because I said zua instead of zua, so coconut and pineapple, for example, or cui means marry somebody and cui means smile. And so a lot of these things can be taken out of context. I'm sure if you've talked to enough people in Vietnam, there have been some maybe uncomfortable misunderstandings because of your tone. So I would really recommend that you focus as much time as possible on mastering the tones and get somebody honest, get an honest Vietnamese friend to help you. Because again, as you probably know, Vietnamese people are already impressed if you can say a few words. And so you really want someone to be truthful with you and say, okay, I have no idea what you're saying. And maybe find someone who's not around so many foreigners, because again, if you're hanging out with Vietnamese people that always hang out with foreigners, they're more used to hearing bad Vietnamese. So go out in the countryside and try to talk to someone who has never talked to a foreigner before. And remember to focus on your tones, especially the Yo hỏi and Yo ngã. I really hope that these tips helped you out, and I hope that they make you see the situation and the act of learning a language in a different light, because it is such a pleasure to learn a new language. It's honestly such an honor to be able to talk to people in their own language and not expect local people to speak English, although it is becoming the global language. It is the global language and it's spreading more rapidly, and it's great to be able to talk to people in our own language too, but I have seen that my relationships with people are so much different when I speak in Vietnamese. It is such a warm language, and you get to know so much more than you would in English, because really you can't translate everything into English. There aren't all of the words to say in English, and just the concepts. If you learn the language, you are doing yourself and the local people a favor by showing your respect, and you're gonna make your experience in Vietnam so much richer. And I'm not fluent yet in Vietnamese. There are still times where I don't understand something. I read books every day, and when I don't understand a word, I highlight it, or I still talk to my friends in Vietnam even though I'm back in the US. And there are still jokes that totally go over my head. There's slang that I don't yet know. The North, the Middle, and the South are so different, as you know, so it is a difficult language. But to just look at the act of learning as a journey and not as in something that you need to accomplish, not something to check off your list. And I think this really goes into the differences in mindset and the differences in culture with Westerners and Vietnamese as well. And so I wish you the best of luck with learning Vietnamese. You can do it. And if you have any questions, please comment below.